Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, coming off the long Memorial Day weekend. Let's take a look at the charts. This is really our 3 to 5 week time horizon trade dynamic. As you're well aware, if you've been watching the Tesla report for the last, few weeks, last month or so, you know that this is the big area of resistance that we've been testing, the low 350s to mid 350s now. That descending two-thirds speed line is now at 354 and a quarter. The low 350s are on the weekly chart that I can show here. And it's really a combination of a upside 50% retracement from the December 24 all-time high against that recent April low. And you have the equally significant rising channel top, a two-year structure going back to January 23 that is at 352.06. And for a brief moment, we closed above it in November and rallied almost to our objective that is at 514.43 this week, a five-year channel top. We did that in December. It was a 3 to 5 week pop to the upside before collapsing back, then closing back below this structure, set up the remainder of the sell-off. So this is an important pivot point, 351.39 to 352.06 in its own right, and the 354.26 descending speed line is also significant. And so, closing above 354.25 would be a significant buy signal. I would like to also then see the market close Friday above this area on the weekly chart. Weekly settlements have a greater degree of finality in longer term signals. But nonetheless, if you're short Tesla, if you've been short for the last week, week and a half, as we pushed into this meaningful price ceiling, you should, in my opinion, exit that short position with a settlement above 354.25. And I think you can also play the long side of the market, especially if you're a 3 to 5 day swing trader. We could and should actually, by Friday's close, reach 383.76, which is a 5/8 upside Fibonacci retracement. And we can top out here for a day, maybe a week. I like to keep them light in the aftermath of a significant buy signal. In other words, under other circumstances, 383.76 might be considered a 3 or 4 star resistance area. But under this scenario, with a violation of significant trend resistance in the low to mid 350s, it's just a kind of a hesitation point on the way up to 427.01. I would see 427.01, which is the low of that all-time high, and that was a key reversal high on that day, if you recall. We put out a new all-time high and closed clearly back below the previous day's low. That offers its own form of resistance. Now, you can see that in the aftermath of that, there were a series of highs in that area. And there are other things in that zone as well. So I'm just going to call it the upper 420s. 427.01 is one key level that I would consider to be a 3 to 5 week objective if we close above 354.25. So if we do close above 354.25, I see no good reason to be short Tesla, either for the 3 to 5 day swing traders up to 383.76, the 3 to 5 week swing traders up to 427.01. And from an investment perspective, if you're not yet long Tesla, that would be an indication to go long with a settlement above 354.25. And then, as I said a moment ago, a weekly settlement above 352.06 to follow on Friday should then yield, possibly by the end of the year, 514.43. And that would be the big picture target, possibly by the end of the year. Over the next 6-7 months, 3 to 5 months is certainly possible. Yes, we've had that kind of volatility, and we're sort of still in it. So, it could be by the end of the third quarter, potentially 514.43, a 5-year channel top, able to contain annual buying pressures. But until then, we've yet to see any of that, and we've yet to close above 354.25. So this remains an important price ceiling, that below which, over the next 3 to 5 weeks, I still anticipate the 266.93 rising channel bottom speed line combination. Now, for the downside, I do still have, well, there's a rising channel bottom now at 330.74. I showed the 344.62 low settlement price much of last week. We swapped it out for other elements in the minor. So really what we have is 330.74, that rising channel bottom, able to contain session weakness. That is a day trade level and potential 3 to 5 day upswing. I don't even think it's 3 to 5 days. I think if we test 330.74 by Tuesday, Wednesday, we could test the low 350s. But given the fact that we are still anticipating longer term, well, but what I mean by that, 3 to 5 week bearish continuation, I think you can play these levels as a day trade. 330.74, solid day trade level to buy, and we could within a day or two get a decent pop back up into the low 350s. But closing below 330.74 is essentially considered an eventuality. And if today we could, by the end of the week, test that 301.24 level, which is a weekly support point. It can contain weekly lows. We may even round up from here within a couple of weeks back into the low 350s. That is a real possibility. And that is why I think we have a 3 to 5 week target at 266.93, because it actually allows the market to bottom out at 301.24 for a full week or more, round up for a couple of weeks before collapsing south, presumably. Now, there's nothing to say that we wouldn't actually close below 301.24 within a few days of testing it, because we are eventually looking for 266.93 as an objective, holding below the low to mid 250s. And, if we were over the next, as I say, a week or two to close below 301.24, we should then see our 266.93 target within just another week or two. And that kind of irons it out. So we've got the levels that you can trade. But in terms of the trade, in terms of the higher probability trade, it is still selling the low to mid 350s. And if that were to happen today, if we open higher up into the low, the mid 350s, it is selling those 3 to 5 day swing traders back to 330.74. It is selling the low to mid 350s, 2 to 3 week swing traders down to 301.24. And it is still selling the low to mid 350s, 3 to 5 week swing traders down to 266.93. 266.93, assuming we test it between now and the end of June, can contain selling through all of July, and we could round up. We could continue to fill this area out for the next month or two. But if we were to close below 266.93, I would then anticipate the upper 150s to mid 160s as a realistic 2 to 3 month or sooner objective if we were to close below 266.93, but we're a long way from that right now. So for the day trade, you're looking at the chart right now. It really is buying a dip in the low 330s, 330.74 is the channel bottom, and selling upward retracements into the low to mid 350s. Now, from what I understand with the news that I'm seeing, that we may actually get a pop on Tuesday, given Elon Musk's statement over the weekend, or maybe it was Friday, I think it was over the weekend, that he plans to devote a 24/7 to Tesla. He's going to sleep in the factory, and this is something that he was doing a couple of years ago, and this is a good news for Tesla investors. I think some will come out of the woodwork to buy the stock, it seems to me, although I think there's a sort of doubting factor as well that's growing. We'll believe it when we see it. So, I don't know how much of a rally we can actually expect off that news, but we could quite easily open in the low to mid 350s. And if we close once again above 354.25, and you went short in the low to mid 350s, you want to cover that short position. And if you're adept enough at that sort of a maneuver, you could actually reverse and go long. With the settlement above 354.25, once again, by the end of the week, we could see 383.76, and by the end of June, 427.01. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. We offer 2 stock picks a week on wickedstocks.com that cater to 3 to 5 week out to 3 to 5 month swing traders, daily triple Q, daily SPY analysis, a weekly analysis in Apple, et cetera, et cetera. And we offer it all for free for the first 5 days. You get a 5-day free trial up front. So check us out at wickedstocks.com. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, with Tuesday's Tesla, and you have a great day. I'm sorry, with Wednesday's Tesla. This is for Tuesday. Monday was Memorial Day. You have a great day.